Hello, merry meet. So today we're going to discuss the pentagram, or rather we're going to discuss the inverted pentagram. That's when we normally have the pentagram that looks like this, with two spikes down. Let's see if we can just get it properly. There we are. And you do it this, and you get one spike down. Now, a lot of people think that, well, a lot of people think that pentagram itself means evil. But for those that actually know that it is a holy symbol, and that even Christianity used the pentagram for a while, they think that when it's the spike down, that's just for Satanists. That's the Satanist corrupting the pentagram. I've heard this from pagans so many times, and I'm sick of it. They say, oh no, the Satanists have taken the pentagram and corrupted it by having it one spike down. No. This is wrong. Yes, Satanists, a lot of groups of Satanists do use the inverted pentagram as a symbol. But they haven't corrupted anything. And even Wicca uses the inverted pentagram. So let me explain a little bit about it. Now, the pentagram regularly, with the two spikes down, it means the four elements, earth, air, fire and water, ascending into spirit. Means quite a lot of other things too. For example, it represents man and woman, with the star representing man and the circle around representing woman. It represents the tarot because the tarot has 7 plus 1 cards. 77 numbered ones and the Fool. And so 77 becomes 5 numerologically, and then you have the 0, which is the circle. And in many ways, the pentagram symbolizes everything in reality. When it is inverted, it represents the 4 elements, earth, air, fire and water. With spirit being down, it means putting the physical above the spiritual. Now, here's its connection with Satanism. Most Satanist groups is about earthly pleasure. It's about earthly desires. It's about valuing yourself above others. It's about basically being selfish and enjoying this life we have been given. There's nothing evil in that. And the upside down pentacle represents that very well. Also, the number 666 can be reflected in this meaning of the inverted pentagram, since 666 numerologically becomes 9, and 9 is the number of manifestation. And in fact, 666 is several times mentioned to be the number of the earth, because in a faith like Christianity and the proto-religion that it came from, putting earthly pleasures and basically putting the physical above the spiritual is evil. And therefore, since God then is the ultimate representation of spirituality, the devil becomes the ultimate representation of the material. And that is why, for example, the devil cards in the tarot does not mean evil, it means lust, it means the carnal, it means the physical. And as such, the inverted pentagram do link up with 666 to mean the physical. However, in paganism, valuing the physical is not seen as evil. We value both the physical and the spiritual. We think that we would not be flesh if our spirits did not find value in being flesh. And as such, there's nothing evil in it. We We value the life around us. We value the pleasures that this life can give. We just also value the spiritual. And as such, there's nothing evil in the concept of the inverted pentagram. Now, another thing that many link it with Satanism is that it's the Baphomet. Now, or the goat star. Basically, when you have, just get it right, yeah. When you have an inverted pentagram, you can sort of see yourself drawing a goat into it. I mean, here you have the beard, and you have the little tusks on the side, and the horns, and you can just draw a little face in the middle. And the goat representing in many beliefs Satanism. I am not completely sure about the connections with the goat star, other than that you can draw a goat in it. But yeah, I suspect it's some of the same concept. It represents the physical. The reason why the goat was associated with Satanism in the first place is that it was considered to be a very horny animal, and therefore it had to be of the devil. And I mean, there was all sorts of legends about it, like the sperm of a goat being so potent it could melt diamonds because they were just so horny. So yeah. So is there a connection to Satanism? Yes, but that doesn't mean that Satanism have taken a pagan symbol and corrupted it. They have taken one of the meanings of this symbol that does also have meaning for their beliefs. Now, in, for example, Wicca, you have a pentagram representing the various degrees. So for the first degree, you have a just straight up pentagram with the points down. I mean the 2 points down. And this represents the student willing to learn. The world of spirit is opening up to him or her. The world of elements are opening up to him and her. And then when you reach the second degree, the pentagram is inverted, because it represents that the student has now started to learn and has started to gain mastery of the world, and has basically started to understand the 4 elements, but their spirituality has not reached further than that. Currently, the 4 physical elements is above the spiritual. They have not yet raised their spirit. And then for the third degree, it's a pentagram again, with a triangle on the top spike, representing that now spirituality has advanced, so that spirit has risen above the physical. And also many uses the inverted pentagram to mean basically invocation. It has some of the same symbolism as the magician in the Rider-Waite Tarot. Now in the Rider-Waite Tarot, the magician is represented by a young man who stands before a table. On the table are laid out the tools of the other suits. So you have the elemental tools, and he stands with one arm towards the heavens and his other arm pointing downwards. And this represents that he, as the magician, is the link between the physical and the spiritual, so that he is invoking spiritual energies down onto the earth. Basically, it plays on the same concept as the old High German word Hagasusa, which they used for witch, which is the word that hex comes from, which means fence rider. It's the idea that the magician stands between the physical and the spiritual. But I'm coming off topic. The point is, the invoking pentagram with the point down represents the same. It represents drawing spiritual energies from the heavens from the source of all creation, from whatever you think these energies comes from, onto the earth, instead of the normal, or I shouldn't say normal, the pentagram with the points down, which represents sending energies or ascending energies up into the heavens. And basically, in many ways, the cross can be seen to have some of the same symbolism. When it's the right way, it represents, of course, within Christianity it has a very special meaning because you have the crucifixion, but the cross was used before Christianity, and the straight line up and down, yeah, the vertical line represents the physical body, and eventually the physical's ascension into the spiritual, and the horizontal line represents the line of the spiritual. And of course, when it's inverted, it represents the exactly opposite, the spiritual's ascension into the physical. And basically that is the concept of the inverted pentagram. It represents the spiritual descending into the physical, and that isn't evil. It is not a symbol to represent evil, it's not a perversion of anything. The pentagram itself is a very complex symbol with a lot of different meanings, and as a spiritual tool it can be used for many things. It can both be banishing, it can be attracting, and as such, a lot of what we do as pagans is actually calling on spiritual energies, having them descend into this physical plane that we do reside on. In the same way that the idea of that we try to rise ourselves up, become more spiritual, we also are grounded in this realm and have spiritual energies coming down, and there has to be a balance of that. So yeah, I think it's very negative when people think that the inverted pentagram is just evil, it just means Satanism. It doesn't. Yes, many Satanists do use the inverted pentagram, but first of all, Satanism isn't evil. I mean, you can't sit and be pagan and not believe in Christianity and then say, no, Satanists are evil. Because basically most groups of Satanists, what they are, they walk the left-hand path, and basically it is Satan becomes then representation of their wish for walking their own path. It becomes a representation for their for them not wanting to bow down to the rest of society, but rather set them their own needs first. And it's not evil in any way, shape or form. And the upside down pentagram does not mean evil. It simply means the opposite of what the pentagram with the two spikes down mean. So instead of representing spiritual ascension, it represents a spirit descending into the physical. And I mean, even Christianity has this concept with the Jesus descending from heaven and becoming a man. So the idea of the spiritual descending into the physical is not evil, and it isn't better than the spiritual ascending into, basically the physical ascending into the spiritual. Both are processes that are needed for spiritual development. Now yes, the inverted pentagram has a lot more meanings than this, But the pentagram itself is such a complex symbol that we would be here until tomorrow just covering the basics. This is more just a video saying that no, it is not evil. And one more thing that it symbolizes is that since the star symbolizes a man, basically the inverted one symbolizes a woman. When it's upside down, where basically you have the two spikes down, it represents the positive, the active. When it has the spike down, it symbolizes the negative. When it has the two spikes down, it symbolizes yang. When it has the one spike down, it symbolizes yin. It balances the symbol, and saying that no, when you have the spike down, it's evil, that means just creating an imbalance. So basically, it is a symbol that's good to use for invocation. It's good to use for the idea of drawing something down, drawing something towards you. So yes, if you're gonna use the pentagram as protection, you want the two spikes down, because that's warding, that is protecting you, especially when it comes to protecting you for something spiritual like a curse or negative energies. Then you want the two parts down. But if you want to draw something to you, you want the single spike down, because that is attracting. So yeah, I think that it's silly to call it evil. The inverted pentagram is not evil. It has a real and important place within occultism and within pagan religion. So yeah, I think the pentagram needs love, whatever it is presented this way or this way. So yeah, that was my video. I hope you have enjoyed it. Have a great day, and blessed be.